Hey, it's Grady here at Twin Creek Audio with Heath today. Heath from Homespun Centaurs and Circular Corners. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you probably know Heath. He did the Casio Tone 101 video and several of the mixing videos. When we've been releasing some Homespun Centaurs material, we've done some videos about it here on the channel. So today we've got a song from Homespun Centaurs II, which actually came out back in 2018, right?
About that time,
yeah. 2018.
Yeah, I think so.
And this song is called Unconscious Uncoupling.
Yeah, Unconscious Uncoupling.
And it's what was going on in the news? Like, wasn't there a famous couple that had something?
It was they did a conscious uncoupling was their name for breaking up.
That was Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck, right? Is that right?
No, it was the guy from Coldplay. And what's
you're right, Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin from Coldplay.
Yeah. And so people were talking about conscious uncoupling, and then me, looking for that little spark, that little nugget to make a song out of it. Just hit me one day. I was thinking, unconscious uncoupling, and then that just sounded like a good idea for a song.
So you wrote the song Unconscious Uncoupling for the Homespun Centaurs II album.
Yeah. I had the lyrical idea, and then I had another piece of music, and I just kind of put them together. And then after that, you realize you don't just have the one little 2-word phrase for the chorus. You have to write the whole song at some point. So it may not have wound up as perfect as I wanted it to, but it's pretty decent, I guess.
Well, we've got the song up on the console here today, so we can highlight some different things about it. And this is a kind of an all-new analog mix, kind of like the things I normally do on the channel. So again, you can compare what you're hearing in this video to the original mix of the song Unconscious Uncoupling from the Homespun Centaurs II album.
What I'd forgotten about what the individual parts sound like, because you play them separately, and this song really is about how things sound in the mix.
Yeah, everything kind of blends together.
Yeah,
it's got
maybe too much, really, but it's a good example of that.
Yeah, by the time that we did Homespun Centaurs II, we were going in a more, I guess there's more production work involved. The first album was more organic sounding.
Yeah.
And then the second one, we're trying to go for, more spacious kind of sound. Of course, one of Heath's favorite bands in the world is The Church.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this one has a little bit of that. It
definitely.
It's the song after it on the album more so, but this one does. Yeah, especially the jangly, the acoustic, and then there's kind of a jangly electric part. That's basically classic Church sound right there. Yeah.
And a lot of reverb.
Yeah, you got to have the reverb because that makes it easier to gaze at your shoes.
But in this mix, there's actually, I do have a little bit of reverb on the drums.
Oh, good.
There's a little bit of, I guess it's like a plate reverb with the Yamaha Rev500.
Yeah.
I've used the fat plate preset on that thing.
That's a classic reverb unit, isn't it?
It really is. Any of the Yamaha
reverb just
units,
makes good stuff.
Most Yamaha stuff. I'm a big fan of Yamaha.
Yeah. Keyboards, they make great keyboards.
The classic Yamaha SPX 90 from the mid to late 80s, and the SPX 92, the 900, 990. All those are classic Yamaha reverbs. The Rev500 is from, I think, around 1996.
Huh.
And, it's got some of the same sounds. The wood room preset on the Rev500, it's kind of like the old SPX 90. Several studios that I worked at back in the 90s had those old Yamaha reverbs, and I would dial up that wood room preset and put the drums through it, put it on an aux send, and send the drums, especially the snare, through that wood room sound to get the space on the drums that were recorded a lot of times in a little bitty drum booth or whatever. So pretty cool stuff. Well, I guess we should let him hear the song.
Okay.
So from the beginning, we'll hear that acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Nights when there's nobody home. Shadows whisper and the cold winds blow. Gotta wonder, gotta run. I guess you could say we just don't care. Certainly, we didn't mean it. All of this suffering. Yeah, that.
I killed it right before that happened. So what did you think of this nice sounding analog mix of that song versus the original one sitting right here in front of the monitors?
You did a good job on the original one, but this one's nice, and a lot of your other mixes you can really hear it really brings out the individual parts, like the one you were working on earlier today.
Yeah.
But this one, being such a spacious song with the reverbs and everything, it just gives it a nice warmth, really.
Yeah. Well, a massive tip for people that watch this channel as far as my mixing philosophy is I don't do a whole lot to everything. You know, I'm looking for things that just sound good, and hopefully the recorded tracks that I have to work with sound pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's like a little bit of EQ, some compression here and there. It's not really anything that's complicated. Yeah. It's not rocket science. It's especially in the case of using analog gear. And when I did the original mixes of this stuff in the box, in Reaper, actually, I'd have, on bass guitar, I'd have like 5 plugins on it. And now, teeny tiny bit of console EQ and the Urei LA-10 rack compressor.
Well, I was probably using that PV bass on this
that PV Foundation.
Which isn't a very expensive bass, but it does the trick.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier, the acoustic guitars on this one, of course, they were recorded to blend into the song. I used 3 different microphones.
Yeah, there's 3 different mics on the acoustics, and that's right here. We can actually
so it's not. I guess it's not recorded to be, a dude and guitar acoustic song, but you did have to tweak the acoustic a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, I did. That's still the 3 mics, but probably the best sounding mic, I ended up turning it down a little lower.
Yeah.
And I used like 2 of the others and panned them out just a little bit. Yeah. And then really it's coming up here on the console just as a stereo pair. The 3 mics are blended in here in the box, so to speak. Let's hear that real quick. That has a little bit of reverb from, I think that's the Alto a-verb 2 with the chorus reverb. Let's hear, I'm going to hear that.
Just the reverb?
Yeah, just the reverb. Hear just the reverb. I think that's on the. I think this is the reverb on the acoustic. It's the Alto.
Oh yeah,
it's got a little bit of chorus on it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You don't really notice that in the overall mix, but listen, it'll blend really well.
Nights when there's nobody home.
Then we've got this weird synth thing going on here. That was labeled like Kimu, K-I-M-O, on the tracks. I don't know what that is, but
I have no idea.
That's one thing. As I'm having a little bit of trouble. I think I've got some low mids boosted, and it's a little too warm.
That was one of my least favorite tracks on this album. I mean, on this song was that keyboard part.
I like the sound. The sound's pretty good. It's just a little. I think I had boosted some low mids. I may have been like soloing it and listening by itself.
Oh yeah.
And now that I'm hearing that in the mix, it sounds like it's got.
I think I liked the way when the keyboards kick in at the beginning of the song. It kicks in like with the drums and maybe the bass plays something different. It gives the whole song a different sonic quality, so that's
if we're analog mixing and we have 2 people, you can just push the faders up and run the mix. the old
And
fashioned way.
hopefully running it through the mixing board gives the keyboard a more analog sound too, which is always good.
Yeah, the Sapphyre actually, is a little bit more of a modern console from probably the early 90s,
right.
but it definitely, it's not a sterile sounding console. It sounds very wide for one thing, and I've been doing most of my mixing through this and definitely get a better sound than doing something in the box with less trouble. The EQ is, good enough. I don't really use anything else other than these EQs, so I want to hear the synthesizer.
Yeah.
Because I had some low mids boosted. I want to see if
Coca-Cola.
we need to see maybe to turn that down. Let's see. Where
Kimu? Oh, that's probably the name of the synth. Kimu.
Kimu. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Gotta wonder, gotta run. I guess you could say.
I do like that high part. That's kind of like the Cure, that kind of sound, that late 80s,
Yeah.
the high trebly.
That does remind me of like the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me album.
Yeah.
Was,
that era, that one.
Yeah, that was the era that I first started listening to The Cure, was like The Head on the Door and Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I went back and bought some of the earlier Cure.
Three Imaginary Boys.
Three Imaginary Boys.
Yeah.
And, what was the other one? 17 Seconds? Is that one?
I know there was like different versions of their first album.
Because they were released in different places.
Yeah.
The Cure is awesome. That's still...
Head on the Door was probably the first... wasn't the first Cure I heard, but it was the first Cure album that I heard that it blew me away, and that's probably still about my favorite Cure album. Probably one of my favorite albums, really.
Yeah.
Great album.
It is a great album.
Yeah.
So we got the synth thing, and we got all these vocals down here and a couple of reverbs, which are working out pretty good. This other reverb is, I think I've got drums on that. Let's listen to that and see if the reverb should... Tambourine.
That's your little wooden tambourine that's still at my house.
And the electric guitar.
Yeah, that's very distorted, but that's
Oh, I know. On those nights when there's nobody home, shadows whisper and the cold winds blow. Gotta wonder, gotta run. I guess you could say we just don't care. Certainly, we didn't mean all of this suffering.
See, it has this nice atmosphere about it. Right?
Yeah,
And it's
but
got, you think it's got a whole lot of reverb.
Right.
Would you say that sounds like it has a bunch of reverb?
The whole mix sounds like that. Yeah.
There's actually not that much reverb. I mean, there's some on that synth.
Yeah.
And on the electric guitar.
Probably on the vocals a little bit, yeah.
On the vocals, yes.
Yeah.
On the acoustic guitar, only a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Drums, actually, you're hearing mostly room mics.
Yeah.
That's these. Let's see if
But you don't put a lot of reverb on drums anyway, unless you're doing an ambient kind of thing, I guess. Well, it depends on the sounds you want, I guess.
Yeah, and in this case, these room mics. Let's see if the room mics, because I really didn't even listen to all this yet.
Yeah. Oh. Let's see what it sounds
when
like.
When I mix, I literally just like assign things from the project out to channels on the board, and I start listening. Mm-hmm. And then I go for things that I'm hearing or problems I'm hearing, or like I want to make it sound bigger, better, wider, whatever, and I just start. And sometimes I'll get into the details like these room mics later. Okay. Because it already sounded good.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what these sounded like. So let's see. This is a room mic.
You still get a lot of the velocity from the drum hits,
Yeah.
and then a lot of the reverbiness of the room comes through.
So that's why I don't have any fake
Yeah,
artificial reverb from the outboard processors. I do have two on vocals, and it's what I did was really weird on the vocals. I guess we can
need to
solo
slide
the
down?
vocals and think about. No, I'm gonna be turning this
Oh,
way
okay.
to get to this.
Yeah.
So we've got harmonica here. It's going to the reverb.
Yeah. Mr. Tim Bryant.
Mr.
Played-
Tim Bryant on the
yeah,
harmonica.
that's right.
He played the harmonica, and that's here
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this fader.
And he's
Over here. Let's see it from
he's
this side
a
here.
keyboard player. He doesn't play harmonica all the time, and he didn't play anything flashy, but and the mix it fit just right.
And I'm sending that to the Alto a-verb 2, which the A on the a-verb 2 is like the alpha symbol, kind of. So I guess it's an alpha verb, but it's just called an a-verb 2. 40-bit digital effects module. Pretty cool. So the harmonica's going there. Let's see, where does he play harmonica so we can hear that part? It's going to that alto. So the harmonica
The harmonica
is
is
going to the
out.
alto a-verb that has the chorus reverb. So we should have a little bit of chorus on the harmonica, unless I'm actually accidentally wrong and I've got it sent to the other reverb.
When you sold it before earlier, it did sound. It had like kind of a chorusy sound to it. So you,
When I see you vanishing, baby.
Whoa, sorry.
it's all right.
It's like a 70s soundtrack.
Yeah, the harmonica. There's like a type of harmonica that they use a lot in like 70s movie soundtracks and stuff, and
So
I
that,
really
yeah.
like that quality.
I mean, that's pretty cool, even though, it's an earthy harmonica is kind of a earthy instrument.
Yeah,
And I just put chorus on it.
yeah. Well, he played it real melodically, which was nice.
Every little thing I do with this stuff is like,
Yeah.
I just throw stuff up and start listening to it and
Yeah.
seeing what I
Yeah.
can do to make it.
Yeah,
And then getting the low end to be solid, which usually with the gear I have, it's like a good analog compressor. I don't need a whole lot
Yeah.
of bass. I just
Yeah.
need a good analog compressor and maybe a touch of EQ.
and this song had the bass, which kind of thumps a little bit, but there's a pretty more treble heavy than a lot of songs. This one probably. So
Yeah, but it sounds good.
yeah.
And then getting
Yeah.
the drums to have good solid low end.
Yeah, and that's really important on a song like this because it can get pretty adult contemporary pretty quick unless you
Yeah. I like to
that
give the
bass.
drums a little. I like to have the drums to have a little bit of attitude.
Yeah,
And I'll use
yeah.
like parallel compression to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, these drums are so clean sounding, I don't have to put a compressor on each individual drum. I can just use parallel compression to get that heftiness to the drums to make them punchier.
Mhm.
And I can just use a stereo compressor. In this case, it's the ART dual limiter.
Yeah,
So it's doing that fattening up and compressing things just to kick snare and toms.
okay.
I don't like to send overheads and stuff to it because
Yeah,
I don't like the
yeah.
release of the compressor to mangle the decay of the cymbals
Right.
because it
Right.
starts to sound really bad.
Yeah.
That's especially true if the cymbals were recorded in kind of, a less than perfect room.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have a good decay anyway. You have a lot of scattered frequencies and reflections.
And
From
then
things in the room.
that compressor's
And
just
then-
gonna be.
The compressor is just going to bring that up and
Yeah.
make the unpleasant stuff come up even more.
Mm.
So, if I have a really clean recorded kit, yeah, I might use compression on the overhead or something sometimes. But a lot of times I don't. I don't know. With this board and the setup I
Right.
use, I'm already getting some kind of a compressed signal out of just running it through all the analog circuitry. It's making everything gel
Mm-hmm.
and stick together without
Yeah.
putting a compressor on everything.
And
No.
like cymbals, they your overhead's far enough away from the cymbal where you're not getting that that
Right.
initial crash and.
Yeah, mic placement's also super
Yeah.
important. How
Yeah.
you record things. And
But they got enough of a like that trebly, the signal like punches through the mix without having to have a lot of volume, I guess.
Yeah, it's super crazy.
Super crazy was what I was, that's the word I was, the 2 words, yeah.
Yeah, well, you need the overheads. I mean, it's easy to get them too quiet in the mix, and then it's also easy to get them too loud.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just can't win, and it just is, it's
Yeah.
really hard. Overheads and
then you just
cymbals.
take that mix, throw it in the trash. You're just like done.
Yeah.
Cymbals, no good. This mix is ruined.
I mean, you
Thanks
can
a lot,
do
cymbals.
on the tracking side, there's a lot to be said about tracking the cymbals separately. Have one drummer play one pass, just play the shells, and then go back and play the cymbal crashes in a separate take. Yeah. So you don't have the bleed and other mics.
I've done that on I remember at one point I borrowed like one of your cymbals and a snare, and I recorded some stuff that way. And there was we lived in the duplex, so basically my living room and your living room were made out of the same wood and were the exact same shape. Right. And then I just would, of course I did that because it was just me playing it, so I played the snare and then I added the cymbal later. And I do that a lot too when I'm doing MIDI drums. That'll be like the last thing I put in,
put in cymbals last.
Yeah,
you can overdub cymbals separately.
Yeah, they're easy to overdub. Yeah,
we don't do that in all cases.
Yeah, when you have a kick butt drummer who can just play it all at once.
No, I'm just
hands, feet. Sometimes he puts his nose in there.
Well, it just depends. I mean, if I want, I could see why I'd do the cymbals and drum shell passes separately, but usually the kind of music we do, we're going for a more natural kind of sound anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's going to be, it's going to have some compression on it. It's going to have reverb on it and different things everywhere. And it's usually going to sound fine as long as you get the mic set
It is more natural when you just play it all the way through.
Plus, I use thin cymbals.
Yeah.
That have a shorter decay because the cymbals are thinner. And I've kind of hand-picked over the years and bought and sold and traded my way to cymbals that are specifically good for recording here in the studio.
It took years for him to get these cymbals, folks.
So my ride cymbal is actually pretty thick because I want it to have more of a ping and not as much of a crash. So it's a thick ride cymbal, and then the crash cymbals are thinner, medium thin or thin.
And then crashes. you can use that ride to keep the beat sometimes.
Yeah, or the backbeat, the bell, or even the ride cymbal. That cymbal's so heavy it doesn't start to wobble.
Yeah, I like it.
Just constant.
I do
wash.
like it when you in the middle of a song. Sometimes you'll switch to that ride and you'll just And then sometimes you need more cowbell and you go in there.
Because I always need more cowbell.
Gotta have that cowbell.
Always need more cowbell.
Yeah.
But I like that ride, that heavier ride, because I can use that. It doesn't get too washy because it's so heavy that it's doesn't keep moving for quite as long. It'll dampen itself a lot quicker because it's a heavy ride. It's an old Poste 505 heavy ride, and then that's not what we're hearing on this song though. So we're getting off on a major tangent.
That's all right.
I need to figure out what we need to hear now. We need to hear vocals or.
Ooh.
We heard the harmonica.
Yeah, I guess we can. I can probably stand to hear my vocals.
We heard the harmonica and the synthesizer, so vocals are like here, and there's all these different vocals coming in and out everywhere.
Like you were saying earlier, I don't know if we got it on tape, but this album was more about production than the first album's sound.
This should be vocal tracks soloed here on this song. Let's see. Oh, here it is.
Oh, I know. On those nights when there's nobody home, shadows whisper and the cold winds blow. Gotta wonder, gotta roam.
That's a nice harmony on that very last line.
Yeah.
And so you've got a low part and a high part.
Not so bad.
Through that section of the song.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. I guess you kind of hear both of them, but the low part, I guess, blends into the mix more and gives the whole vocal more of a heaviness, I guess.
So the low part is...
Oh, I know.
That one.
On these nights when there's nobody home, shadows whisper and the cold winds blow.
And then,
Gotta wonder,
Huh.
gotta roam.
And then the whole thing switches here.
I guess you could say we just don't care. Deserting me.
And then I go really high up here.
All of this suffering, I should have seen
That's the
it.
one I didn't like.
Unconscious uncoupling. Give me everything with just a little bit of sting.
Yeah, that vocal sting.
Baby, why are you hurting me?
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
that vocal section is cool sounding, and it's a secret how I'm doing that. No, I'll tell you how I'm doing it. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail.
Inquiring minds.
Some of the vocal tracks are dry. Some of them are going to the chorus reverb, and some of them are going to the fat plate.
Okay.
So they're all kind of randomly going to different
There's
things.
4 vocal. Because there's the part where the vocals bounce back and forth.
Yeah, there's an
like-
ADT track in the box too.
Oh yeah,
And that's
we had
one
a
of
really good
these.
ADT back then.
That's the
yeah.
stereo. Yeah, I still have that.
You
It's
still
that
got it, yeah.
vacuum sound.
Yeah,
I'll put a picture of that thing.
that's a great ADT.
That's this track right here. Let's see if I can. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
There should be an ADT on this vocal 3.
There's like a call and response section basically where I sing one line from the verse and then I sing the other line, and you know
Well, here that's
it's
this.
a technique.
This is the ADT.
Yeah.
The vocal.
Are you deserting me?
That's the second part of the
All of this suffering.
that's the response.
Right.
So that's a lot of so those I didn't realize that's just me doing the lower octave basically on that with
We just don't care.
yeah.
Are you deserting me? We didn't mean it. All of this suffering, I should have seen it. Unconscious uncoupling. You give me everything with just a little bit of sting.
See, some of the tracks are drier.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of that chorus reverb, which is
Yeah.
a much
Yeah.
shorter reverb
Yeah.
with a touch of chorus. And then those ones that do the answer,
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's when you can really hear the reverb kick
but
in.
not the very first one.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen till the second time.
Yeah.
They're separate tracks, so only some of those are going to that big, huge plate reverb.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting away with using just 2 outboard reverbs to do all this and make all the
Yeah.
space in the mix.
That's awesome.
Because I'm being tricky about how I'm layering things, and actually it was kind of an accident too.
That's
then I
cool.
realized-
I've forgotten because it's been a few years. Like how when we mixed it in the box, I've heard the final mix several times, you know, but yeah, that's I forgot you're actually using completely different reverbs
Yeah, completely different reverbs
than we did in the original album version.
And I'm using the huge control on the plate reverb from the Yamaha. The stereo channels, I'm EQing the return of the reverb. That's
cool.
a trick that
Yeah.
old school engineers they love that. They
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah.
use like if it has a effects return.
Yeah.
They don't want to use that. They'll patch into a full blown channel so that they have EQ.
Yeah,
they can
that's
EQ
smart. Yeah.
the effect return.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I have EQ on my stereo channels. Got a stereo effects return.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 2-band EQ, but really for reverb, that's all I need. I'm pulling out a lot of
Yeah.
lows and then boosting some highs, and then I'm using this famous width control and cranking that all the way to the huge side on that plate reverb. And what that does, I don't know, it seems to knock out even more mud than just pulling out the
Yeah.
low frequencies. I don't know. It just sounds good. I don't know
Yeah.
how it works exactly. Maybe the Soundcarft people
Yeah.
could tell me how that works. But they made these
That's
a
a
long
good
time ago.
that's
So
it's always good. I like to EQ the reverb, but especially on a
EQ the
song like
reverb.
this where you got so much going on in the mix, you Yeah, you
take out
you want
some
your
of the,
reverb to be just hitting those certain frequencies.
right. You don't want it to overtake the low end.
Yeah.
With the big low end wash, and it'll get really muddy and
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
And so the other reverb, which is that chorus reverb, I don't really have it EQ'd. It's just straight up and down. The width control's right in the center. It's a stereo reverb, but I'm not boosting the width control. It's just straight up and down on that one. And so in that way, I've created this kind of new version of this mix here with the analog console. So that's some of the cool highlights of it, other than just, you know, the typical stuff. Drum room mic, we're getting some size and space out of that. The parallel, I guess I can show off the parallel compression.
Yeah, show off that parallel compression.
On the drums. Let's hear that.
This is where Grady brings those funky beats. Like we were saying earlier, if you hadn't played something cool like that, this song could have very easily been pretty boring.
I would have played something cool for you, though.
I do appreciate that.
Because I'm awesome and I like to play cool things for people.
Remember, Grady is awesome and he likes to play cool things for people.
I'm awesome. I like to play cool things. Okay. Here's the, crap. What did I do here? I don't need to turn that off.
Whoopsie.
Wait. What did I do?
Blooper outtake.
Oh.
Grady screwed up.
There. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to play back the drums. This is with the parallel compression and the reverb.
Okay.
But, you know, you've got the room mics, stereo room mics, and then you've got some of the plate reverb. And I think I only sent the snare and the toms to it. But due to some bleed, there's a little bit of reverb on all the drums. And it's that nice big long reverb. But with these EQ moves and this width control, we're hopefully getting the reverb out of the way of the impact of the drum kit. So we're not destroying the drum sound, making it sound too washed out. And then we've got the parallel compression from the art over here. So everything else is muted, and here's the drums.
Unconscious uncoupling, and I wonder why we just don't care. It's always when
I think the synth is slightly too loud in different places, but you can I can have you ride those faders.
Oh, yeah.
And make a final copy of this.
Is this a mono synth, you know?
This is the harmonica.
Yeah.
And then these.
Oh, did Tim play that? Turn
Yeah.
that down. Turn that all the way down there.
Okay. That's the harmonica. This is drum parallel compression. Since you're going to help assist print the mix, I'm gonna show you,
okay.
make sure. Reverbs.
Yeah. And the
this
parallel is just the snare
and toms.
and toms.
Kick, snare, and toms.
And the kick.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the kick. And it's the parallel, the
And then
actual dry
these two
sound.
are this the synth.
That's the synth.
Okay.
This is one of these is tambourine and one's the electric guitar. This is bass.
I'll turn the synth down a little bit right when it comes at the beginning, and then turn it up for that cool Curie part.
This is nothing.
Ah.
There's nothing on these faders. The rest of it's down here.
So I can
here.
do this like during the whole mix, and people will think like this.
Yeah,
guy
they'll
is
think you're
good,
really cool,
man.
but you're not actually doing anything because there's nothing on those.
No.
Except you
It's
might
like-
be adding noise to the mix, so don't do
Sweet,
that. No, I'm
sweet.
kidding.
This is like if a 5-year-old wanted to be an engineer, it's just like, oh, then I don't get the buttons.
Everything's already
Okay.
EQ'd, so you don't need to touch that. Don't touch.
I won't.
don't touch that.
Listen.
Don't touch the EQ.
Listen, singer, instrument guy, you do the singy parts, and I do the EQ.
Do the
okay.
singy parts.
Yeah, all right.
It's time for you
I
to
won't
do.
touch.
It's time for us to do the mixy part, though.
Okay.
Let's
okay.
play this back
I'm gonna
and
turn
see.
this down just a smidge. Here we go. And a 1, and a 2, and a...
1, 2, 3, go.
shadows whisper and the cold winds blow. Gotta wonder, gotta roam. I guess you could say we just don't care. Deserting me, we didn't mean it. All of this suffering, I should have seen it. Unconscious uncoupling. You give me everything with just a little bit of steam. Baby, why are you hurting me? I could have given you everything. Unconscious uncoupling. And I wonder why we just don't care. It's always resurfacing when I see you vanishing there. Oceans and fountains, castles by the sea, molehills and mountains, unconscious uncoupling. And I wonder why we just don't care. It's always resurfacing when I see you vanishing there. Like a ghost. Baby, why are you ghosting me? Disappear when I need you the most. Unconscious uncoupling. And I wonder why we just don't care. It's always resurfacing when I see you vanishing there.
Maybe that was pretty good.
Yeah, that sounded. I haven't heard that song sound that good probably ever. Honestly, that was. Yeah.
It's the beauty of analog
That is
mixing, man.
nice.
Through the real console.
Yeah. Of
with
course, I'm sitting here
real
listening through
compressors.
the KRKs right here in the studio, so that's nice. But
Well, I think I got the vocals a little too loud in some spots. I was trying to ride
that's
the
all right.
vocal tracks. And
I liked, I don't know if it was
that's
my
okay.
ears adjusting some, but I could really. Of course, you were pushing up the harmonica, but I could really hear some of the individual parts, which was nice. It made it a little bit less like homogenized, I guess.
It's easier to do
Yeah.
through the board with
Yeah.
this setup, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been having really.
I was
good luck
riding the
with this.
synth a little bit, but yeah.
That's the synth part sounded fine. I was the one messing
Yeah.
up stuff, but
Hopefully Mr. Brian will be happy that we put his harmonica in the mix, because it really does have that cool like 70s, I don't know, whatever harmonica that was popular in the 70s,
like
especially
on
in
a
movie music.
TV detective show.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Or the sad
Yeah.
sequence when somebody's sitting outside playing their harmonica because they got the blues.
That's exactly, and that's also the best time to play the harmonica,
And probably the guitar too.
and the banjo and the fiddle. The acoustic ones are good for outside because sometimes you don't have plugs or amps.
Yeah.
Now we're getting off topic.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, but that sounded, to my ears that sounded good, and that was probably like a great idea for a song that didn't turn out quite as good as I thought at the time. But Man, that was a pretty good mix. I like that.
The remix, I think it sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
And I just kind of threw that together earlier today. I just pulled that up and decided, hey, maybe I can make this better too, make a video.
All right.
So I did this a little differently today.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed it. We very much appreciate you hanging out with us today to mix Unconscious Uncoupling from Homespun Centaurs II. We hope that you'll like this video and subscribe to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel. Check all the links in the video description for ways to help support this channel. And we hope that you'll all have a wonderful and excellent and awesome day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond.
Nanosecond, yeah.
Whatever it is you're having, have a good one. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye. Whoa.
So I was doing 3 acoustic tracks, which isn't necessary.
Whoa.
That sounds amazing.
Sorry.
So that was the whole song sped up.
Oh, I know on those nights